Good evening. The Dolores County Broadcasting Network presents the DCTV 4-H Evening News Program for November 5, 2019. Camera people tonight are Brant and Aubrey. Video and sound engineer and producer is yours truly. Teleprompter and prompter is Tanner. News anchors Nolan and Hannah. Meteorologist Sativa. And with that, now the news.
Okay. Welcome to the DCTV 4-H TCV News Show. Help us keep our news show on air by becoming a sponsor. You can buy sponsorship by calling 970-677-4119. That's 970-677-4119. Now for the news. Hi, I'm Nolan, and our first story is from the Pine River Times. School board candidates weigh in on LGBTQ policy in Bayfield. While community members pushed against LGBTQ-related policies in Bayfield School District, school board candidates emphasize making the district a safe place for all students. A rainbow flag in Bayfield Middle School Park sparked a tense community debate, both on social media and in the community, about how the district covers LGBTQ-related topics in schools. Now, as Bayfield voters cast ballots in an election that will fill 4 open seats, school board candidates are weighing in. Schools ought to be a safe place for all kids, regardless of sexual orientation, religion, or race. That is first and foremost, said Mike Foates, the only incumbent candidate in the race. Several parents and Judy Spady, a constitutional activist who does not have children in the school district, supported removing a phrase regarding transgender status in the district's non-discrimination policy at the meeting. The policy says it will not discriminate on the basis of religion, sex, which includes marital status, sexual orientation, which includes transgender disability. That's not good. Spady said the phrase, which includes transgender, could be removed because it is not legally required and it's under local control. The policy gives huge amounts of power to that special group, Spady said. As parents at the meeting debate which kids receive support and what the school district's responsibility should be, and including LGBTQ topics in school. What power? 50% of them are killing themselves, said gay rights advocate Jennifer Stucca-Bentley, causing a brief pause in the tense debate. What power? No school board candidates were at the community meeting. However, all candidates emphasized creating a safe place for students and staff. LGBTQ youths are statistically more likely to be bullied, experience suicidal ideation, and make a suicidal attempt than other student communities, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The fact that it's almost to the point where 1 in 2 trans people are going to attempt suicide at some point is why we are emphasizing this, said Ryan Garcia, Four Corner Alliance for Diversity Board chairperson. All candidates also said the district was and needed to be in compliance with the state law. In 2008, transgender status was included in the definition of sexual orientation, and sexual orientation was included in every aspect of the state non-discrimination law. The phrase, which includes transgender, is not legally required in the school non-discrimination policy because transgender status is protected regardless, said Jennifer Mueller, Chief Counsel of Colorado Association of School Boards.
The story is from the Journal. New Mexico's top court examines Warrior Gene defense. The New Mexico Supreme Court debated Monday whether a murdered defendant should have been allowed to introduce evidence that he has a genetic predisposition to violence. At issue is whether a district court acted properly in excluding evidence of a so-called warrior gene variant linked to a predisposition towards aggressive and violent behavior, as it has weighed murder charges against Anthony Blas Yepez. The Supreme Court listened to oral arguments from opposing attorneys without yet issuing a decision. Yepez was convicted in the killing of his girlfriend's 75-year-old step-grandfather during a domestic dispute in 2012. He is serving a 22-year sentence for second-degree murder with additional time for auto theft and tampering with evidence. An appeals court ruled that the lower court abused its discretion in excluding the scientific testimony, but that was no harm. But no harm was done because Yepes was acquitted of first-degree murder charges that require the state to prove premeditation. Seeking a potential retrial, defense attorney Helen Bennett said testimony on Yepes and a possible genetic predisposition to violence still deserve consideration in relation to second-degree murder charges, which don't involve premeditation and whether Yepes truly had an intent to kill. This is a due process issue. The defendant was foreclosed from his right to present his theory, Bennett said. It is offered to show that he was incapable of forming the kind of intent that is necessary to find him guilty of this. His prosecutors feared the appellate court decision will open the door to a broader consideration of novel and unsubstantial theory. Substantial, I don't know. This theory has been around for some time. No appellate court has accepted it, said Maris Vidimas, an assistant attorney general. And now we have this opinion. You have this finding of an abuse, discretion, and that to me is risky. Justice David Thomas questioned whether that was enough to warrant intervention by the Supreme Court, considering that the appeals court did not endorse an allegedly risky genetic theory.
This story is alcohol is number one drug of choice in Durango, according to Mercy Hospital. Alcohol abuse was responsible for more than 1,000 visits to the emergency room at Mercy Regional Medical Center in fiscal year 2018, helping to make it the top concern for the hospital. Alcohol is the number one drug of choice in the community, in part because it is a widespread availability, said Elsa Inman, Hospital Transformation Program lead. Emergency visits related to alcohol represent about 5% of the total emergency room visits in fiscal year 2018, according to Mercy data. Many of those visits were made by the same patients coming back again and again for care. Most of those patients were given immediate treatment and sent on their way. But the number of admissions for alcohol-related issues increased from 308 in fiscal year 2017 to 322 to 332 in fiscal year 2018, according to Mercy's Community Health Needs Assessment. In the assessment, Mercy identified addressing substance use disorders, primarily alcohol abuse, as a top priority. The hospital now plans to screen patients for substance abuse, refer them to treatment, and support new options for treatment. However, addressing alcoholism is tough because drinking is embedded in the culture of Durango, unlike methamphetamines or opioids. As a tourist destination, Durango has numerous bars, liquor stores, and events that feature alcohol as the main attraction. Education about the risk of alcohol, especially over time, is also lacking. Mercy plans to start screening all patients 12 years old and older for substance abuse. The hospital wants to have options in place for those patients to seek treatment, she said. Ensuring more options for treatments will require partnerships with other groups, such as Access Health System. New certified peer support coaches who could also help encourage people to seek treatment, she said. The coaches who have overcome substance abuse themselves could be employed by hospitals, law enforcement, and legal system. Embark Peer Coach Academy plans to hold training for new peer coaches in Durango during the spring. Candace C.A., lead for the young adults in recovery in Durango, said she's also working with local bars and restaurants to encourage more of them to serve mocktails, non-alcoholic cocktails, to provide alternatives for customers in recovery and for those who are taking a break from alcohol. Across the country, interest in mocktails is in the rise because they provide a healthy alternative to alcohol drinks, according to USA Today. From Mercy's perspective, mocktails are a good way to support sobriety.
Stories from the Durango Herald. Last train to Silverton for the season. Last winter's deep snow may have stalled Silverton's summer, but as the last train from Durango rode into the old mining town Saturday, it was easy for many to say 2019 has been first rate. I think we had a banging year. It was not busy. It was not too busy, said Natalie Horn, an employee at Avalanche Brewing. This year compared to last year was more consistent. But for many last year's benchmark wasn't much one to beat. The 416 fire ravaged 54,000 acres of the San Juan National Forest in June 2018, a disaster that drove tourists whose part support Silverton's business away for at least a month. At least one business owner estimated revenues were down 40%. Masty French, a manager at the Grand Imperial Hotel, said many guests told her they had canceled plans in 2018 and rescheduled for this year, but a deep snow year left much of the back country, including the Alpine Lope, inaccessible for months. But high moisture also led to a lush alpine environment from late summer until early fall. French said the wildflower season this year was really good. She said, and this fall colors lasted much longer until October than they did in 2018. Al Harper, owner of the Durango Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad, said 2019's season is comparable with 2017, which was a terrific year, he said, and people are still eager to ride. People already bought 40% of the tickets for the company's Polar Express train this winter. But after Saturday, business in Silverton all but comes to a halt. Flocks of tourists no longer walk the streets. It's mostly locals. Believe me whenever I tell you we're a town of 600 service industry workers, and by the time the train stops, we all need a break. Warren said, we kind of get our community back.
This short news story comes from the Huffington Post. Dog struck by car rides inside bumper for miles before being discovered. A dog hit by a car in upstate New York rode for 45 minutes wedged between the broke bumper and the grill before the driver realized she was carrying an injured passenger. Coco the Shiba Inu was being treated for a fractured elbow after being struck Monday morning in Albany. Rotterdam police Jeffrey Collins says the driver knew she hit something and noticed the car's damage but didn't see the dog at first. She drove about 15 miles, 25 kilometers, to Rotterdam before hearing noises and stopping to recheck her car's front end. She called 911 after she saw the dog gazing from below the license plate. A Schenectady veterinary clinic worker told WNYT-TV the 16-pound, 7-kilogram Coco fit perfectly in the space behind the bumper and was lucky to be alive. Now for a weather report with Cecilia.
Our current weather data comes from the DCTV weather station, located in beautiful downtown Dove Creek. The current temperature is 60 degrees. Today's high was also 61 degrees. The low is 31 degrees. The barometer is at 30.2 inches and falling. Humidity is 19%. Wind is between 1 and 6 miles per hour from the southwest. Gusts have been up to 13 miles per hour. There were 0.00 of an inch of moisture measured by the DCTV weather station today. Moisture for this month is 1/100th of an inch. Moisture accumulation for 10 years is 10.24 inches. From the National Weather Service, here's the big map. Just as yesterday, the west side of the country is clear, mixed with rain and snow covers much of the mountains. From there is a white area indicates snow covering North Dakota and extending to the southern Wisconsin. Below the area of snow, in another area of mixed snow and rain, and yet another covering the Great Lakes and on across Maine, there are areas of rain and thunderstorms scattered all across the southern half of the 1/3 of the country. Now for our exclusive DCTV 5-day forecast. Wednesday, mostly sunny, high 60, low 30. Thursday, sunny, high 58, low 28. Friday, sunny, high 58, low 29. Saturday. Think. Saturday, sunny, high 60, low 30. Sunday, mostly sunny, high 59, low 30. Now for our climate change report. CO2, carbon dioxide, is considered a greenhouse gas, and it is one of the principal causes of climate change. CO2 traps heat in the atmosphere, causes climate instability. The results are significant variations worldwide of moisture and hot and cold temperatures, but the general climate trend is that the planet is slowly warming. Therefore, it is important that we report the CO2 change. The following are the CO2 numbers in parts per million. Last week, 409.32. 2 weeks ago, 408.78. Last year, 406.43. 10 years ago, 385.6. 50 years ago, 322.58 or 85. Thanks to Dr. Peter Tans of the National Oceanographic and the Atmospheric Administration and Michael McGee of the CO2 Earth Network for providing this information. Remember, you can help keep our kids' news show on the air by buying a sponsorship. To become a sponsor, call 970-677-4119. That's 970-677-4119. Thank you. Now back to our news director.
And that's it. That's the end of today's DCTV 4-H evening news program. Good night, and thank you for watching.